Right, so you should have your 2 holes drilled now. What you want to do is get your piece of aluminium, your spring, and 2 bolts that will go right the way through the aluminium and the spring. I don't know if this one will be, if this is going to be too big or not. Yeah. Right, this is the kind of screw I found to hold my spring on. I did forget to mention these. This is approximately, I'll do it by millimetres. It is 21 millimetres or 22 millimetres by 3 mil. Right, so get your aluminium and from the bottom stick your 2 bolts in. I don't know if you're going to want to use washers or not, I don't know if that really help. So going from the bottom upwards, put your 2 bolts through because you're going to need 2 of them. Put your 2 bolts through, get your spring, put that on. So that what you're going to have is something like that when it's back on the crossbow. Stick 2 more washers on if you think it needs it or not. Yeah, I don't know, it might not need them really. And then stick your little nut on. And then we'll tighten it up and then put this back onto the crossbow. So tighten it up as tight as you can get it for now. But we're going to have to remove it again later, so just tighten it up reasonably tight so you can just see what it's going to look like when it's on. So for now, that when you've put it back on, actually don't put it back on at this time because we're going to have to take it back off in a minute. But this is what you're going to end up with for now. We're going to leave these bolts long because if you haven't got long ones, it doesn't matter. If yours was, you know, just the right size, that's okay. There's something else you can do. But for now, we may use these to actually hold the sight on because we're going to have the sight to this. So at this point, this bit can just be put to the side for now, don't lose it. Let's now prepare for the prod. Right, we're going to now prepare for the prod. We could have done the trigger, we did the trigger guard last, but yeah, at this point, let's do the prod. Right, so you should have on your stock a hole, not a hole, a mark that I told you to mark earlier when we first started. I was a bit sort of muddled about the size, so at this point I can now tell you what size you want it specifically. You want to keep this hole virtually exactly the same height as the prod, but just give it a couple of mil from side to side. So virtually the same height so that it won't wobble up and down, but it can have a bit side to side because we're going to do a bolt inside to hold the prod on. Right, so you should have that marked. Just check it for height. Mine's actually slightly smaller, I'm going to have to mark mine slightly bigger. So if I laid my prod on, I notice my holes are a bit small. This is where we've cut it out with that template. You've got to keep the angle because there is a slight angle on this. Right, there's my hole. I am going to cut this out by drilling a hole at the top, a hole at the bottom, a hole there, and then putting a coping saw inside, and then connecting the holes, or I may actually drill the whole thing out. Cut that out any way you feel comfortable doing it, keeping inside the line, because as long as you keep inside the line, if it's too small, we can make the hole bigger, but if it's too big, you can't really make the hole smaller. Although we probably could by putting shims in or something, but... Alright, cut that out and come back. Right, what I've done with mine so far, yours may be cut out now, but if you just wanted a bit of a tip, what I just did, just to do mine, I've drilled holes through, and now I'm just going to file in between those holes to make the actual shape. You know, if you've got better tools than me, you're obviously just do it any other way you like, but this is the way I'm doing it because this is the tools I have. So now I'm just going to file between these holes. And then I'll have the rough shape which I can file smoother. I'm just going to add another screw to my wood. The screws that we have holding it together on the outside of here. Just to give it a bit of added strength. Right, I'm going to carry on filing that out until I have the basic shape. Right, you should now have a hole in your stock that should fit the prod. I noticed that, I was going to say, the end caps to mine won't quite fit through, but mine will pull off. If your end caps won't pull off, you're going to have to make the hole a bit bigger. But my end caps pull off, so that would be where my prod would go. You see it's turning into a crossbow now. It's really looking like one. Right, now the holes are done, we want to try and prepare for a bolt that will go through here and it will hold the prod in place. There's one thing about this, I've never done this bit before. I think this should work, but it's going to be a bit of an experiment. So if it doesn't work, we may have to try something else. You're going to want a bolt about this size. It may be a bit big, I don't know really. Like I said, I'm experimenting with this bit at the minute. I know all the rest, I've done it all before. This is the only bit I haven't done. What we're going to do, right, that screw's in the way for a start, so let's remove that. There we go. Bloody screwdriver's gone. What we're going to want to do in a minute is take the two pieces apart. Oh, the other thing you want to want really is a square nut for this. Just trying to decide where. Right, first things first, take your stock apart. Right, so don't forget to take your spring out. Oh, don't lose any parts. Put all your bits in a box or something like I do there. Well, take the stock completely apart. You can leave the pieces of aluminium on because they don't need to be taken off, just so that we can open it up again. Right, what we're going to want is, this bolt is going to be sticking in the end of your stock. So you want to mark a line going straight from the middle of here, so that's there, horizontally with the top of the stock, you know, in parallel with it. Then mark, actually it might have been easier to mark this when it was all together, but, and then draw a line across. At that crossing point there, we're going to have to do some chiseling and drilling. but chiseling out will be a bit quicker. So, well, to start it off anyway. So mark that off there. Should now have a little mark there. Draw across again. There. To the centre of your prod hole. Just have a mark like that. Put your bolt and putting that in the centre of that line. Mark a line on the outside of both bits. So now you'll have 3 lines. Ignore the middle one. These 2 outer lines. What you want to do now is get a Stanley knife or something like that, any kind of craft knife, and score those 2 outer lines until you cut right through that little thin bit of metal, Use a straight edge. Watch your fingers. Because we're going to remove that bit. I was supposed to have told you this before we glued this down, but I forgot to do it. It doesn't matter, this should pop out quite easily. Right, now you want to just chisel that middle bit out. This just starts off our drilling slightly easier because it means you've already got the hole. You know exactly where to drill. So just chisel that little bit out. Be careful. You want a bit of... Right, that should come out. Right, that's what you should have now. If this bit's popped off a little bit, just stick a bit more glue underneath it for now. Well, I'm just going to put my bit of glue in. It's popped off a little bit. Right, what you're going to want to do now is, well, let's just zoom in, it might be easier. We need this little nut inside here. So go back 10 mil. No, that's, yeah, about 7 or 10 mil. And mark on here size of the nut. I don't know if you can see that or not. Hang on. You see that just there? You can just see it. And then if you break any of the bits of wood at this point, it doesn't matter. Because I've got a feeling that bit's gonna split. Get a chisel on that. Chisel that little bit out. Right, this bit's broken, so just leave that to the side for now. Chisel out the bit at the bottom. Mine is breaking because of the crappy glue I used. If you use decent glue, you might not have this problem. What you should have at this point is something looking like that. We're going to want to chisel this same shape into this part, you know, further through into the back bit a bit more, and also we're going to want to do it on this one a little bit. So just chisel a little bit into that, about 3 or 4 mil, or well, I don't know. Don't rely on my measurements for this. You might want to. What you're going to want to do, it's going to want to be as deep as that part of the bolt. What you want in the end is just that round bit. Because what we're then going to do is we're going to be able to put the bolt through, tighten it up, and that should put pressure on the prod. Right, so carry on chiseling. If you want to know where the marks are going to be on the other one, get the prod, put it like that, and if you just squeeze down on this end, you can just, I don't think you'll be able to see this with the camera, it just creates a mark so you know where to chisel. This is probably going to be the hardest part of the entire crossbow, I think, doing this. If you don't want to do it this way, there's ways of lashing a prod on with string, but this will be the nice looking way. Right, so carry on chiseling until you can get that little nut in place. Right, this is how mine looks right now. I've cut a little groove in and you'll see the nut, the actual threaded nut hole is level with there. You now need to cut out a bit in this part of the stock in the same place. You can just see the mark where I squeeze them together. Chisel that bit out and then come back and I'll show you how to fit it together. Right, what you want to do at this point is just put them together, put your 2 bits together and make sure that when they're squeezed together that they'll actually shut. Mine won't yet, so you're going to have to make the holes slightly deeper. And then what we're going to want to do is remove the, when you can squeeze these together, remove the nut, and then we're going to fit the 2 pieces together and drill a hole, because this hole won't be big enough for the bolt. But at this point, make the holes deep enough so that the pieces of two pieces of wood can sit together. My 2 pieces will squeeze together now. What you want to do, like I said, remove it quickly, screw them together, and you want to get a drill bit the same size as the bolt you're going to use. Right, I'm using a bolt that's about, I'll measure it in a minute when I've screwed it together. You don't have to put all the screws in, just put 1 or 2 in. Right, the bolt I'm using is 8mm, so you're going to want an 8mm drill bit, and what you're going to want to do is run this through where your line was, just there, just to widen that up a bit there. You see the line, and you want that running, you want the drill hole to be in line with that line, so you want it straight through there. Clamping it up might be slightly easier, so you make sure you don't split the wood.